and give them the take action. 1, 2, 3, they go!
Welcome to Eagles Game Plan, presented by Toyota. I'm Gabriella DiGiovanni, joined with some Eagles legends, Mike Quick, Ike Reese. For the third time in Eagles history, the Birds are 6-0, and it was a sweet victory on Sunday night in primetime against the Cowboys, Ike.
Yeah, nothing sweeter than getting victory versus your hated rival in the Dallas Cowboys. Great way to go into the bye week. Eagles can get a little healthier. They had a few guys get banged up in that game. I tell you, those bumps and bruises don't feel as bad when you're undefeated.
So true. Those bumps and bruises don't feel nearly as bad when you win the game. This offensive line, though, so impressive the way they were able to close out the football game. It was a 13-play drive, 11 of those plays runs, and they consumed 7 minutes. When you can win games that way, keeping your offense on the field, that's a recipe for a winning football team.
Speaking of that offensive line, before heading into the bye week, the city of Philadelphia knows the offensive line is the engine that makes this offense go. So let's take a look at some of the best plays from the offensive line this year. Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland joins Fran Duffy for tape study, presented by Chickies and Pete's.
Well, joining us here for tape study presented by Chickies and Pete's, Eagles offensive line coach and run game coordinator, Jeff Stoutland. Coach, welcome into the show. We really appreciate you joining us here for a few minutes to talk through this Eagles offensive line.
Thanks, Franny. I won't only talk about the offensive line. We'll provide some schematic stuff, and also some of the mindset behind some of these concepts.
I love this. Well, let's get into this first play. Touchdown run in the red zone against the Jacksonville Jaguars. What is it that makes this play go?
Well, structurally, we're looking at a play here that's a mid-zone that's altered a little bit based on some different alignments and the way people play. But this has all been studied on film prior to actually building the plan. But going into this here, you see Devontae coming in to block the safety that's rolling down here late. Now, Kelsey knows this is happening, and he's okay with it, so he's also going to him, and he's going to block through him up to the corner. So, and it's okay when that happens. Sometimes, you'll say, oh, two guys going to the same person in the point. We feel like in this part of the field, that's not an issue. What really is important here is the Lane Johnson block. The Lane Johnson block here is extremely detailed in terms of what type of player do you have. Is the defender rushing up the field? Is the defender trying to stake you down and run into you? Okay, like that, because it's going to require different types of technique. So here you see the defender's a little bit up the field, so Lane just takes him that way, uses the momentum, actually stakes him down at the end there. See him stake him right there? Tries to stop the flow. Sure. And Lane continues to accelerate his feet on contact, which creates just enough room for Miles to get into.
And that's the thing, is that just a couple yards of displacement, that just creates that lane wide enough, and Isaac doing his job, hitting his man inside as well.
Absolutely, and then Isaac working with, just a tremendous angle by Isaac knowing how to surface the block and what side of the body to surface it with. So, well-executed play. But here, go back. I use a phrase called execution fuels emotion. You watch Devontae here. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about when we speak like this. You see the excitement and the enthusiasm based on a well-executed play. That's the kind of reaction you get from a player.
Coach, let's go back to week 1 and just take a look at pass protection here. This is a deep vertical throw to A.J. Brown. A little bit of a unique front here from the Lions, and it's blocked up well.
Yeah, wow, this seems like a year ago. So here you see we're trying to assess the structure and where the pressure might be coming from. And so what's happening here is we're sliding the front, you see. And so this creates tremendous space right here on Jordan Mailata, which is dangerous. It's like your mom says, don't touch the stove when it's on, it's dangerous. This is dangerous. Now, we know this and we understand this. And so as soon as Mailata gets this up and under move, he's hearing my voice in meetings, he's hearing my voice on the field. It's dangerous. You must be on high alert for this type of action. So you see him here come back and see the sense of urgency in him trying to snatch this defender so he can't get through. And then he should have a little bit better balance. But I think he was so excited to stop the penetration that, he maybe overdid it a little bit. But tremendous job by Jordan of shutting down the penetrator and then coming off for the looper.
Coach, what has it been like coaching a guy that had played zero football coming into his NFL career and just what he's turned into?
Well, you never know. Like, you don't know. I just know this. Jordan is a tremendous athlete, okay? For a guy that's his size and for how he can move his feet. I mean, look how he doesn't fall on the ground here. Look how he's still able to maintain his balance to the very end and somehow pull himself out of this. If you see him at the end, right there, you think he's going to fall down. Right there, you'd say he's on the ground. I mean, this guy's unbelievable to be able to pull himself out of this thing. So when I talk about critical factors and often I talk about it all the time because it's really the life you live as an offensive line coach and in a scouting department because we're looking for these types of things in players. But when you find a player with this size and all these different critical factors, but's never played football before, you say, let's look. And Mr. Laurie would always say to me before the draft, Stout, look down the road. Tell me what you think in 3 years. What could this player be in 3, 4? It's very helpful when you hear that from the owner. Because actually, when you do that with this player, you see some greatness.
It was a similar kind of conversation with Lane, right? Lane was a different part of the draft, 4th overall pick, but a guy that was still relatively green to the offensive line position.
Correct. And there's another example of, hey, played tight end, quarterback, wide receiver, might as well have played wide receiver, played tight end. So he played several positions, really never settled into one until he got to Oklahoma and played tackle. And so maybe people looked at that and said, he didn't play tackle on. We look at it a different way. We look at it as opportunity. We look at it as, hey, what can he become in 3 or 4 years down the road?
And the communication, the execution up front, you see that often in the screen game. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but what makes this play go? This was early on against the Cardinals in week 5.
Well, first of all, the communication starts with Jason Kelsey. Jason Kelsey is the conductor of the band. And you know what? To be that guy, you have to embrace that. You have to really like this whole process. If you're timid or you're not really it's too much, then you're not the right guy for the job. Kelsey embraces this. He gives so much of himself to his teammates, and all he wants to do is put everybody in the right spot. Even in game plan meetings, he wants to make sure everybody's in a good spot. And so it all starts with him with the communication aspect of it, but then it comes down to timing. Screens are all about your timing and your decision that you make. Some guys don't rush. If you don't rush, what do I do, coach? I don't release, I block. And whoever the peel player is, you become part of the screen. So here you see a situation where our left tackle, Jack Driscoll, who went in to play left tackle, has never played left tackle before, but we needed him. He's never played on the left side of the line before, but we needed him. Did an outstanding job, tremendous job by Jack with a very limited time to practice. But you see this screen right here, and Jack knows this. And here's the issue. Stop that, please. Stop it right there. Here's what happens, Franny. You go out to practice, you practice against the scout team, you practice against scout walkthroughs, what have you. When this play is executed, this is my pet peeve forever. I say it all the time. People look at me, he's a grumpy old guy. I'm telling you, this is what happens. So I tell the players, listen to me. This is like Coach Saban would say, it's poison. It's rat poison. Okay. The guy that stays back here, maybe in a drill or whatever, and then the player goes like that down there to block him.
Not gonna happen.
In real life, that's not what happens. But I can't explain it to him. I have to say, look. But now I got a video, and I also have Jordan Mailata springing a touchdown in the Atlanta game last year with the same play. So what's really going to happen, even though you're not going to see it here for a while, is that player is going to react to the screen, and he's going to bolt down to the throw. So in reality, your angle has to be flat, which you see Jack running flat down the white line with a huge sense of urgency. So credit to Jack, he listened about my little dissertation in the meeting. And then Jason Kelsey, without him, look at this, look how fast this guy is. Without him getting out here, okay, to seal the edge and does it within the rules. He's got his hands, he's using his hands. He's not using any other part of his body. So legally, he's tremendous. And then for us to seal the front like this in the alley, you see Landon Dickerson. So this is such a synchronized play by everybody. And then you see 3 out here, okay? Zach is unbelievable. I say to him all the time, I sat with him on the bus today, I was like, Zach, you might be the most giving of yourself to your teammates player I've ever been around. This guy is unbelievable, and I have a lot of respect for him. I'm so happy he's here with us.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery. There's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.
Hey, I want to give gratitude to everybody in this locker room right now. Everybody in this locker room, because we talk about being a family. We talk about what that means. We practice that every day. But today, we play together. Today, we had each other back. We continue to take these steps to take advantage of every opportunity we have moving forward, and we can be a really dominant football team. Every time, every play. But we gonna turn up in this game! I'm proud of y'all, man. Hey, family on three, 1, 2, 3.
Jalen Hurts breaking the team down after that big win. I love those behind-the-scenes look of Hurts and the way he's such a leader in the locker room. But how about what he's done through the air, Mike? Through the first 6 weeks, what's your biggest takeaway from the passing attack?
Well, when you look at this offense, they're very tough to defend the RPO game. But you've got to look at the diversity and the fact that it's hard to take away one weapon and then feel like you can take away this offense because, as my partner in the booth, Merrill Reese, says, it feels like this team has 2 number 1 wide receivers. Let me show you a perfect example. So you're getting one-on-one coverage with A.J. Brown on the outside against the Detroit Lions. What he's able to do, he gets a really good release here. He stacks the defender, and he does a great job of playing through the contact and finding the football in the air for a deep one down the field. The other play, now you've got the Slim Reaper. He's one-on-one on the outside. Very much the same thing. He's able to stack the cornerback, get down the field, and there's not many people on the planet that can make that type of catch. So you look at the skinny Batman, you look at the swole Batman, and they're very difficult to defend. They make this offense so hard for a defensive coordinator to figure out what to do.
We're talking so much about the passing game. How about the run game? For more on the Eagles' rushing attack, here's Greg Cosell with Self-Scouting, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
Let's always remember about this Eagles offense, no matter how they look, how they throw the ball, that the foundation is the run game. And we really saw that in each of the last 2 weeks when they had to run to win. They did that against Arizona, and they did that on Sunday night against the Cowboys. And the play that I want to show is very reflective of this. Keep in mind, on Sunday night, the game got close. It was 20-17. The Eagles got the ball in the fourth quarter. And what did they do? They had a 13-play drive in which 9 were called runs. It ended with a touchdown. But let's start with the first play of that drive. Now, this is what we call a counter read play. What you're going to see here is you're going to see the left guard, Landon Dickerson, and the left tackle, Jordan Mailata. They're going to pull to the right. But there's a read element here in the backfield with Jalen Hurts. You notice where his eyes go. They go to outside of Mailata because he's looking at the defensive end. But let's focus on the pull and the wrap here because that's really important. You're going to see Dickerson kick out. You're going to see Mailata work up to the second level. This is beautifully done. They give the ball to Sanders. Very clean. Sanders does a great job, by the way, of reading the block by the wrapper Mailata and then working to the third level for a 13-yard gain. But the important point is, as well as this offense has done throwing the ball at particular points this year, the foundation is still the run game. And we certainly have seen that in the last 2-3 games.
We cannot say enough about how big it was for the Eagles to get a win against the Cowboys headed into the bye. But let's talk about the biggest takeaway from the game, and that was the 3 takeaways from the Eagles defense. Like, I know there was one that stood out to you most.
Yeah, and we knew this game would come down to which defense was going to make plays. The Cowboys didn't come up with many on their side, but the Eagles were able to come up with several, including 3 takeaways. And one of my favorites here is the Chauncey Gardner Johnson interception late in the game. Now, CJ's going to do a great job of playing center field here in this man-to-man coverage. Dallas thinks they have one-on-one on the outside, so they want to take a shot to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb versus James Bradbury. But Mike, Ella, we've been talking all year about, from a defensive schematic standpoint, how the pass rush and the coverage in the secondary is married together. Here's a great example of it. You got Brandon Graham up front, does a great job getting off the ball here versus Tyler Smith. Gets to that edge, and he's able to get a big shot on Cooper Rush, affecting this throw. And you watch how that ball flutters going down the field, and CJ Gardner Johnson was able to get over there, get his hands under the ball, and make this interception. This certainly is a great example of the toughness that he plays with.
In talking about that defensive front, the buzzwords surrounding this group all summer long was multiple. We've seen that show up so far this season. For more on the versatility of this defensive group, here's Greg Cosell with Self-Scouting, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers.
One of the ways in which the Eagles defense has been multiple this year has been with their nickel fronts, when they have 5 defensive backs on the field. We've seen them line up in a 4-2 nickel and in a 5-1 nickel. What we're going to do is start with the more basic 4-2 nickel, where you have 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers. So this is a nickel sub defense. And what you want to watch here is the edge rushers, particularly Hassan Reddick, because what you normally get in this situation is the edge rushers working one-on-one against offensive tackles. And you see the really good move, you see the speed, the explosion off the ball, you see the power, the ability to drive back the tackle into the pocket and create the sack. So that comes out of the 4-2 front. We see the Eagles use that a lot. It's predominantly used when you get to long yardage situations, not 100%, but predominantly used third down, for instance, third and long. But the Eagles have also done really well this year with their 5-1 fronts. And the 5-man fronts almost always incorporate Jordan Davis, the rookie from Georgia, who lines up inside as a 0 technique or a 1 technique. He's essentially over the center, either straight up or shaded. So you have 5 down linemen and 1 linebacker. Here it's TJ Edwards. So now what this does, keep in mind, this is against the Washington Commanders, who have 2 tight ends on the field here. So this is a front that's often used more in run-down situations. You won't really see this front on third down. But what you get here, you're going to see that Fletcher Cox is going to be one-on-one against the right guard. And here Fletcher Cox beats the right guard, power, drives him right back into the pocket, and sacks Carson Wentz. Now, these 2 fronts really stand out when you watch the Eagles defense through 6 games. And the 4-2 front and the 5-1 front have really been part of the Eagles' 6-0 start.
Welcome back to Eagles Game Plan, presented by Toyota. The Eagles are 6-0, but there's a lot of football left to play. Headed into the bye week, what's the focal point? What really sends this team over the edge in the final 11 games?
I think they have to make sure that they don't get complacent. They have to understand that during this off time, they're going to hear just about how great they are. You know, you're 6-0 and everyone wants to talk to you, wants to touch you. But they have to realize that there's a lot of season left in this football season. I like their mantra. We want to get 1% better each day. They have to stay to that. Stay true to what you do, what has gotten you to this point, and I think they'll continue to win football games. It's a good football team.
Yeah, when you're 6-0, there's not many things that you can find wrong with the football team. But great coaches will always find those little things that they can get better at because they're striving for perfection. But if you go on the offensive side of the ball, I would imagine they want to continue to be as diligent and explosive as they are in the first half in the second half of football games. So that's something they certainly will want to work on. Now look on the defensive side of the ball. You know, third down, getting off the field on third down, and then tackling. You're going to always strive for perfection in that area as well. Again, 6-0, there's not much nitpick at, but with 11 games left to go, I guarantee you these guys, they have the right mindset in the locker room. They have the right coaches here. They're gonna do the self-evaluating that needs to be done, and they'll come back the second half of the season here ready to go.
Well, I hope you both enjoy the bye week. Eagles fans, enjoy the bye week. We will see you right here next week on Eagles Game Plan, presented by Toyota.
Eagles Game Plan is brought to you by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers, proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. NovaCare Rehabilitation, the power of physical therapy. Pepsi, Eagles watching, better with Pepsi. PA Lottery. There's a lot of love for the PA Lottery, and when you see how fun it is, you'll understand why.